Hey everybody, welcome back to Barber Dave's Barbershop at Home. Today's shave is going to be a little bit different for a couple of reasons, but before we go any further, don't forget www.theshavingcadre.com. Come and see us. Smash the barber pole with the cowboy hat to get subscribed to our channel, and then press on the notification bell to receive notifications of any new videos that we put out. Normally Sunday, Monday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. And then this shave is being brought to you by Nurse Dave's Poker Chips, the bluest poker chips in San Francisco. You can bet on it. Anyways, today's shave was a little bit different. I had been pretty much back to straights almost entirely, except one of the members on the Shaving Cadre, Novice Wet Shaver, had asked about nicks and why they occur and what are the reasonings behind it as a relatively new shaver. And so what I thought I'd do, and he also told me what he was shaving with, so I thought I'd try to recreate his shave. So what we're going to be shaving with today is a Fat Boy on 7 with an Astra SP blade. Normally I don't use the Astra SPs. I like the Wizomet or the Paul Silvers or even the Nassets. So we're going to go into that detail as well. And it is set on 7 just like his is, and that's where I normally keep mine. For the soap, we are going to be using SV Cubebe. He has been using both SV 70th and SV Cubebe for the last couple of weeks. And then of course we'll do the aftershave and the cologne as well, or the EDP rather. And then for the brush, we're going to be using the Sepinfuse Giro Veracino Faux Tortoise with a High Mountain Manchurian White. So let's talk about what can cause nicks. Well, the most important thing that I can say right out of the gate is preparation. So how are you prepping your shave? Now, some of this is very subjective, and this is my opinion only, but it's very subjective on how you're prepping before you shave. Are you taking a warm shower? Now, he did divulge to me that he is Hispanic Irish. I'm Hispanic German, so we're in the neighborhood. He has a very coarse beard, and so we're going to go into the angles, how to hold the razor. Is it too much pressure? Is it not enough pressure? Is it set too aggressively? Does he need to change blades and all that? But let's go over the main thing first. 90% of the shave, whether it be a straight razor or whether it be a DE razor or an SC razor, is your preparation. How are you prepping your shave? Are you taking a hot shower? Are you using a hot towel and a compress? Or are you just getting up and shaving? Well, if you're going to do just that, then make sure you take a little bit of the lather, rub it into your skin, and whether that be cold water, hot water, stuff like that. Now, in my case, I always take a shower before I shave, so it's the second thing I do in the morning. Well, maybe not the second thing, but we won't go into that. So the face is very well prepped. It's very clean, it's hydrated, and everything else. And that's the key. Hydrate your skin. Whether that be letting some water sit on it, or a lot of people, including what I do in the barbershop, I put a hot towel, let those, what's the word, guys? Yeah, that's right, sebum glands. Let the sebum glands expand, start to produce some oils, because that's what's going to give you the slickness along with the soap. Okay, number 2. How do you prep your soap? Now, with the Cubebe, and we're going to use this as an example, basically with SV soaps, they are a hard, natural soap. They are vegan, so they're not tallow. But what I do is I take about a tablespoon of water, float it on the puck while I'm taking my shower. When I get back, I pour that water into the brush and load for about 30 to 45 seconds. And as you can see, it has kind of a pasty consistency to it. So what I'll do is I'll start dripping some water. And for those of you new kids, the newfangled kids, you can use your sprayer like you're a plant. Just kidding. And then just add water little by little. We had this discussion on the Zoom call that a sprayer will spray water evenly across your face. Well, yeah, but spraying it across your face, what's distributing it is the brush, not the sprayer. And the argument was that, well, if you only do the brush, only one side of your face is getting hydrated. And I think both me and KJ agreed that no, because as you're incorporating it in, you're incorporating it each and every time, and it gets thicker and more slick and everything else. So, but is that important in the quality of your shave? Absolutely. How slick and how thick are your soaps? If you have not hydrated your soap enough, and I'm using SV because this is what Novice Wet Shaver used, Is it hydrated enough? It will take on a ton of water. And the easiest way to know that is it'll take on a somewhat of a shiny appearance when it's ready. And you'll also get to the point where you'll know when it's ready to shave with. I use the analogy is that when the brush gets quiet like this, that it's pretty much ready. So make sure you're spending the time getting that first lather, because subsequent lathers are just mowing stuff down, continuing. This is the most important one. So make sure your face and your brush and your soap is very well hydrated before you go further, because if not, if it's too dry, it clogs the blades faster and you'll start getting chattering. And if you start getting chattering and you have any lateral movement whatsoever in your hand, you're going to get nicks, because we're speaking especially nicks, not necessarily cuts, because cuts with a D are rare unless you go lateral like crazy. So when you're holding the razor, and for a lot of you guys, this is going to be boring stuff. This is me, and this is what I recommend. There's no reason to hold with any more pressure than that. Let the razor do the work. A lot of guys will do this. A lot of guys will do that. I usually hold with 3 fingers and just a little bit of very little pressure. And then also depending what's the best for you, across the grain, with the grain, across the grain, and that's going to depend on you. You need to map your beard. But basically, it's second nature to me, but when you're first starting out, the angle of attack that you have on your razor could cause a big difference. With the Fat Boy, and you really can't see it in this is set on 7, but you're going to change the blade gap. The blade gap, the higher the number, the more aggressive the shave. So you're going to have to play around with that. But based on what you're saying your beard is like, a minimum of 5, and then you can go all the way up to 9 if you want, but I'd be very careful with that. But getting the proper shave angle is what's important. An easy way to do that is you put the cap of the blade or the cap of the razor up against your skin in a horizontal position. Then rotate the blade down until you feel the blade engage. That's all you need to do. That is the proper shave angle. If you're doing this, you're going to ask for cuts because it allows for lateral movement. Plus, you're scraping the whiskers off your face. So again, place the blade flat, or place the razor flat against your skin. Rotate it down until you feel the blade engage, and that's going to be your proper moment. Then, very light touch. Just let the blade do the work. And just like straight razor shaving, in my opinion, keep your wrist fairly straight and use your shoulder and your elbow as the pivot point. That's going to give you a very nice, easy, because if you notice, I'm not really breaking my wrist. I'm just coming straight down, but I'm using my elbow and my shoulder as the fulcrum point. And this goes for straights or D. So I'm doing my with the grain pass now. And again, put the blade or the razor flat against, rotate down until you feel the blade engage, and that's your perfect angle. And again, I'm only using 3 fingers. So it's a very light touch. And also, the more aggressive the blade gap, the more aggressive and the chances of cuts can happen. Another thing, make sure you rinse it out, whether you turn on the faucet, whether you dunk it. Make sure that the area between the blade and the safety bar are clean, because that can cause some skipping and chattering. And that's what's going to give you the nicks. And again, just 2 to 3 fingers. And as I said, mapping the beard. Now, another thing, some guys will rinse their face between each pass. Some guys will just relather. I have found that I find it slicker and better to rinse the face after each one. Some people don't. And then really for the second and third passes, if you've hydrated your soap correctly, all you should have to do is just do paintbrush strokes onto your face, because you did the initial scrubbing, so to speak, to get the oils to mix. So the rest is just, just going through the motions. Again, cross the grain with against the grain. This, what I'm about to do now, believe it or not, is my kind of my against the grain pass, but it works better for me. And again, if you're doing a lateral pass, the razor up against the face, and as soon as you can feel it start to engage, but you can see in this side, I barely am holding on to the razor. And I'm letting it do the work. So how you do your shave is really up to you as far as the passes. But as far as the blade angle, the blade aggressiveness, and I know that there's some people that will argue that you can just take a straight pass, in other words, like this, and do it. Well, I like doing overlapping passes of about a half an inch to an inch. I find that that works better for me. But again, I'm just holding it on with 2 to 3 fingers and just letting the blade glide across the face. I mean, you still have control, but it's a very light touch, especially with an adjustable razor. With some of your milder fixed gap razors, you can get away with being a little bit more aggressive, especially on the neck area. And that's another thing. You always, your face is different in different spots. This is going to be usually a lot more resilient than down here. You're going to because remember, you're wearing a collar, you're doing this all the time. So if you irritate this area through here, and it also depends on how thin you are and how much and what type of environment you live in. Is it very humid? So there's a lot of different factors, but as far as just the nicks are concerned, try not to, make a lot of movements like this. Keep your wrist as locked as you can. And as I said, use the shoulder and the elbow as your fulcrum. So I hope that that helps. And if you have any questions or comments on that, please put that in the comments section. Like I said, for most of you that watch my channel, this is going to be old hat. But for the newer DE shaver, and these principles can be applied to straight shaving as well. Now, if you are inadvertently, another way you can get nicks and cuts is if you are inadvertently doing the Gillette slide. Now, I do that as a norm for me, but if you're doing the Gillette slide, stop until you feel comfortable, because what the Gillette slide does is it does allow you to scythe the whiskers off, but you're coming down, and this is kind of hard to look at it this way, but you're coming down at an angle like this. Hence the reason why the slant razors were designed, because they build that in. More of a gimmick in my opinion. So you can do a Gillette slide, but I'll show you that. But that could be causing nicks as well. Now, as far as doing your against the grain pass, again, if I was to just barely let go of this thing would fall right out of my hand. And just again, cap of the razor until you feel it engage into the whiskers, and then just and it's a very light touch. You don't need to handle it like something crazy, especially again with an adjustable blade razor. Now, are you going to get a little bit of movement in your wrist? Sure. But if you use your shoulder and your elbow, first of all, it's better ergonomics because you're not hunched over. And the reason why I mention that is, as a barber, when you're standing up for 13, 14 hours a day, if you're hunched like this, by the time you get home, your neck is trashed. And it's especially important for me due to my multiple back surgeries and neck surgery, and then recently in a car accident. So that stuff I have to be supremely careful with. So there's 3 passes. I hope that helps. Also, use the alum. That's going to give you an indication if you're being too aggressive, because the alum's going to sting. Let's face it. You know, people say that the alum doesn't sting a little bit or lying. It's going to sting a little bit because you're abrading the skin. No matter how light of a touch you have, and no matter how much you're just getting those whiskers off, you're abrading the skin at a microscopic level, and you're going to have some of that. But for instance, on the Gillette slide, basically what the Gillette slide is you're coming in and you're coming at an angle, but still doing a downward stroke. Now, if I have a little bit of stubble left over, I'll do a little bit of a Gillette slide in a buffing action to get it out. But a brand new, a fairly brand new Astra SP and the Fat Boy at 7, very rarely do I need any type of cleanup. So, novice wet shaver, I hope that helps you. This is definitely a DSBBS shave. And again, use the alum if you haven't gotten any yet, and just rub it on very evenly all over the areas where you shave and where you get nicks. Good news is it'll seal up most of your nicks, not some of your larger cuts, but you can also see where you may be putting too much pressure. Now, again, you may get a little bit of a sting, but if that sting is uniform over your entire face, then you've done it right. If it's a light sting, if it's a heavy sting, you're being too strong on it. And don't leave the alum on too long. And use a witch hazel, use a post shave. It's a good idea. Today we're using Quinn's orange rind and pink grapefruit. And like I said, I put it on wet, and I think because of the aloe vera content, it doesn't get as sticky. I have tried it both ways and it works. You just use your judgment on that. But again, I have to agree with my buddy Nurse Dave. I like this stuff better than you know who. And what I'll do is I'll pat it dry, and I'll leave it just a little bit wet for the aftershave. For the aftershave today, we're going to be using the Cubebe. Now, with Cubebe, these are natural plant alcohols, so you really need to shake it up quite big. And there was another comment on the aluminum cans and whether it can go bad. Well, these are coated, number one. Number two, with the natural, it's basically like a juice bottle. And if you remember, those of you that are old enough to remember the aluminum tumblers that we used to use out on the patio by the pool, because your parents didn't want you to destroy glassware around the pool. It's the same type of thing. And I've never had anything go bad or start to sour, and I've had some of these for years. And with the Cubebe, like I said, a couple of drops is all you need, or with any of the SV aftershaves. So again, that was kind of like DE 101 as far as what causes nicks and everything else. So again, play around with your settings. I started at 5, went to 9. That was too aggressive. Went to 8. That was too aggressive. So I've settled on 7 as well. But the Fat Boy is a tremendous razor. If you don't have one, find one. You can find them all over the place. This one means a lot to me because this was gifted to me by Avocado Queen, because this was actually her father's, and it was NOS in the box from the 60s because he had switched over to electric razors. So this razor means a ton to me. I shave with it quite often, mostly with straights. So you saw what we shaved with and everything else, and then we're going to use the Cubebe EDP as well. Again, if you have any questions, comments, please put those in the comment section, either here or over on the shaving cadre. So I appreciate you joining us for this shave. It was supposed to be a straight shave, but I figured I'd do Novice Wet Shaver a solid, and any of you other new shavers, especially DE shavers that are looking at this type of stuff. I'm Barber Dave. This has been Barber Dave's Barbershop at Home. That's it. 3 and out for the week, and we hope that you enjoy it. And once again, this shave was brought to you by Nurse Dave's Poker Chips, the bluest poker chip in San Francisco, and you can bet on it. Take care, folks. See you again next week.